Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. What's the most useful rhythm? I think that's a clickbait title, but I'll tell you, it's the Tresillo. We're going to do a little Tresillo offset today, and we're going to talk about clave, and we'll just see where it takes us. Well, there's no doubt that in the past, I'm going to say maybe as much as 10 years, reggaeton and the sort of dembow rhythm tradition, as it's expressed through Tresillo, that is to say the clave rhythm, has become absolutely, crucial in American popular music. But it's always been there. Its roots is in African music in the clave. Now, these two sticks are my favorite percussion instrument. They're claves. They're wooden claves. And I'm going to encourage you guys when you play your clave to do this. Hold the target stick lightly. Don't grip it because you want it to resonate. A light, steady clave can pull a band together. And the clave rhythm goes like this. 2, 3, 4. That's two measures, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The first measure is the Tresillo. Clave is always 3-2 or 2-3. Let's not get into that now. We're going to talk about the 3 portion of it. Tresillo literally means triplet, but it's not really a triplet in the musical sense because it's dividing the measure of 4 beats slightly unequally. You can think of it like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Well, of course, that's a crucial rhythm in all kinds of American popular music. Listen to this bass line. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's D minor 7, G7. Now, if I put chords over the top of that, in the same rhythm, it sounds like this. Once in my life, I did a session with Carlos Santana, and we used this rhythm for the track that we were working on. I was like a Google-eyed 14-year-old, I have to tell you. Listen, that's good, but the bass and the keyboards doing it at the same time, it's a little bit too much, so let's pull back the bass, make the bass a little bit simpler. Sounds like a little steadier, right? All right, so we're going to offset these chords because we get really interesting results when we take the rhythm and the harmonies and move them over by a beat, by 2 beats, maybe more. There's some tricks to doing it, but let's take a look at it. So the first measure, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. The second measure, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Look at that shape. And then let's move over to our first example of offsetting that rhythm. Here's that whole chord group just moved over a beat. It's fascinating, really. What happens when you do that, of course, is the D minor chord plays, D minor 7, plays for a moment over the G bass. Let's listen to what it sounds like. And 1. This should be a familiar sound to you as well. It's the same rhythm moved over a beat. What if I decide that, well, I don't want to hear the D minor 7 chord when the G bass is playing? I would just have to go in there and figure out, oh, I need to move that down. And then when it's time for the D minor 7 chord, the G has to come back up. Well, let's hear what that sounds like. Again, I've offset everything by a beat, and then I had to shift the notes in the chords because suddenly the chord was late. All right, here. Sounds like a Tom Coster part from early Santana. There's the downbeat of the next measure. Well, the same thing. What if I offset everything by 2 beats? Well, here we've got a real big opportunity to shift notes around, because if I offset everything by 2 beats, I'm going to wind up with 2 chords that need to be changed, the second 2. And so what I've done, and this sounds to me great, I just want you to see if you agree, is I've grabbed these 2 notes before were C's. I grabbed C's, please. Thank you. I grabbed them and pulled them down to become the B that's in the G7 chord. And as a result, the chord anticipates the downbeat a bit. And so we get propulsion. And you actually see this in bass lines that use the same trick, offsetting a Tresillo rhythm so that the bass comes in before the downbeat of the next measure, a tumbao bass. Listen to what happens here in the chords as they anticipate the change. They come in before the bass. Again, it's the same rhythm. Everything just shifted over. We could do that again and again. Shifting rhythms is a powerful approach to, I don't know, just sort of like, it's almost like mechanical creativity, right? When you shift familiar rhythms to unfamiliar or weak beats in a measure, you can think of it as a kind of a syncopation, but really you're creating, obviously, new rhythms, aren't you? And when the harmonic rhythm doesn't match that new shifted rhythm, it can be really exciting. The adjustment of the notes is entirely up to you. You may want, like we saw in the last example, to have the change in the chord anticipate the change in the bass. You may want to have it be delayed. We saw in the very first example that the delay actually created something a little bit exciting. I think the Tresillo rhythm is probably the most important rhythm to play around with this, because you've got strong beats on downbeats, and you have that fun upbeat. And as you shift that rhythm around, what was a strong downbeat may become an upbeat. What was a weak beat, we call them weak beats, an upbeat becomes a strong downbeat. Patterns that you thought you knew became unfamiliar just by a simple little shift. We didn't even try shifting things by an eighth, but that's a possibility as well. We didn't try swinging it. That's another possibility. So the DAW gives us a lot of power for doing this. You got a rhythm, you grabbed a loop from Splice, God help you, but you did. Try shifting it over. Shift it over, and then adjust to make it work. It's a pretty powerful technique. It's basically rhythmic offset. Well, gee, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe and ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos, and I'll see you next time.